This meeting of the Ascension Parish Planning Commission is called to order. We're at the Ascension Parish Courthouse, 607 East Worthy Road, Gonzales, Louisiana. We're in the council chambers on the first floor. It is February 14, 2024 at 6 o'clock p.m. The first item on the agenda is the call to order, which we've just done. Second item is roll call of members. Stacy.
Tommy Knoll.
Here.
Mark Villa.
Here.
Nicholas Miller.
Here.
Max Nassar.
Here.
Wade Scheck-Snyder.
Present.
Randy Kluot.
Here.
And
I had a conversation with Mr. Dumas this morning. He had a business emergency out of town in Jacksonville, so he will not be in attendance tonight. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Miller.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry. Our next item is introduction of staff. So, Stacy, would you start, please?
Stacy Webb, Recording Secretary for the Planning Commission.
Jerry Iscari, IT.
Spencer Long, Parish Attorney.
Eric Poche, Director of Planning and Development.
Lance Brock, zoning official.
Sean Sarow, Engineering Review and Agency.
Okay, thank you all. Next item is chairman's comments. I do have a couple of comments to make tonight. One is happy Valentine's Day, everyone, and thank you all for being here. And commissioners, staff, thank you for giving up your Valentine's evening to be here. As they say, to do the people's work, you know. Also, I want to remind everyone that if you're going to have comments, we need to fill out a card by Ms. Webb. Green if you're in favor of an item, red if you're opposed to an item, and we'll call you to speak at the appropriate time. Also, I want everyone to understand that the time limit on comments is 3 minutes. And I do enforce that rule, so please have your thoughts together and be concise in what your comments are. We would appreciate that. Next item is public comment on the agenda item. So, Stacy?
No.
No comments. Okay, staff report. Mr. Poche?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have in front of you the normal monthly subdivision status report. The only change of note is that on the Buzzard Roost property on the northwest corner of West Robert Wilson Road, Ascension Commerce Center 2 has submitted a preliminary plat for consideration, and we're in the process of having a traffic study done. It is scheduled to come before you next month, and we're trying to get that traffic study done as quickly as possible, as the parish is now doing the contracting for the traffic studies. If anybody has any questions about anything, I'd be happy to answer them.
Commissioners, any questions? Okay, thank you, sir. Next item is the engineering staff report. Engineering staff report. Sean?
There's no report this evening.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is our minutes, approval, denial. Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Villa, second by Mr. Miller. Any comments, discussion? Cast your votes, please. We're waiting for someone. Is that Julio? No. 6 yeas. Minutes are adopted. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing to approve or deny the following family petition. Hubby's Muddy Creek Acres, Lot 1, B1, 1A1, and 1A2, and that's BEI Survey, LLC, Council District 7. Is there someone here representing Hubby's Muddy Creek?
My name is Seth Mosby. I'm the surveyor that was contracted to perform this survey. This is a lot off of Little Prairie Road. These 3 sisters were willed this property from their mother, and they're just trying to divide their 3 lots accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, this is a public hearing on Hubby's Muddy Creek Acres, Lot 1, B1, 1A1, and 1A2. Any public comment? Okay, public hearing's closed. Commission discussion or a motion, anyone? Motion to approve, Mr. Kluat, second by? Second. Mr. Villa. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, let's cast our votes. Motion passes 6 yeas. Mr. Dumas not in attendance. Thank you. Next item is Alton Laborde Jr. property, Lot AD2B5A and AD2B5B, Earls and Associates, Council District 5.
How y'all
Sir.
doing? James Fowler with Earls and Associates, representing the Laborde family on the following family partition, asking the commission for approval.
Okay. This is a public hearing on Alton Laborde Jr. property, Lot AD2B5A, AD2B5B. Anyone here wishing to make public comment? Public hearing is closed. Commissioners? Any discussion, motion? Anyone?
Y'all are gonna have access to get back to that back lot?
Yes, sir.
No conflict this time?
What's that?
No conflict this time?
No, no, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion or motion? Anyone? Motion to approve. Motion to approve, Mr. Miller, second by Mr. Scheck-Snyder. Any discussion on the motion? Cast your votes. Six yeas, Mr. Dumas not in attendance.
Thank you.
all, congratulations. Next item on the agenda has been pulled prior to the meeting by staff for need of additional information. That item was Penny Place, L9A1, 11A1, 11A2 by M&R Engineering and Survey. Next item up for consideration is Calm Partition, Lot 5A1A and 5A1B, McLean Taylor. And that's in Council District 5.
Ellen Jackson with McLean Taylor Incorporated, asking for your approval.
Okay, are there any comments, public comments? Public hearing's open. No comments? Public hearing's closed. Commissioners? Questions?
No. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Mr. Scheck-Snyder. Any second by Mr. Knoll? Any discussion on the motion? Cast your votes. Six yeas. Mr. Dumas is not in attendance. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a public hearing to approve or deny the following preliminary plat. Pelican Point Gulf Community, Major Revision, Large-Scale Development Master Plan, Quality Engineering and Surveying LLC. Is there someone here representing Pelican Point Gulf Community?
Excuse me, Mr. Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to abstain from this agenda item.
Okay, make that note, please. Mr. Villa abstains from this agenda item.
I'm Douglas Diaz, this is Bo Diaz, and this is Todd Peavy. And first thing on the agenda, I'd like to wish everybody happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
I like the red shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Valentine.
Yes.
I want to start off by saying that we prepared two revised preliminary plats, and you're only seeing the first one of two tonight. And the first one of the two is just basically some minor zoning and usage changes that we'll go over each item. But the second preliminary plat is, after tonight, we're going to engage into another updated traffic study and another totally updated drainage study for the development. But for tonight's preliminary plat, you'll see it's some minor zoning changes. And basically, recently we applied for a building permit to do a building on Highway 44. And before we could get the permit, we updated a complete new drainage and traffic study, and the planning and zoning in the parish has these studies. So we would like to use that study for this preliminary plat for tonight of some minor zoning changes, but immediately tomorrow, we will start a brand-new drainage study and traffic study for this. And as soon as we finish that, we will submit the second plat with the other items on the agenda. Does that make sense? So I guess the first question is, can we use the most recent updated traffic and drainage study that we just did, and we're waiting to get the permit, and then start on another updated drainage and traffic study tomorrow to represent the new plat, the second plat that we'll be bringing to you. So I don't know if you want to answer the question now, you want to just put it.
We'll put it in our pocket
Okay,
until,
yeah, okay.
until we have commission discussion, sir.
So, and also, I don't know if you want me to bring up any old business now, or you want me to wait until later to bring up. I have two items on under old business.
What I'd like to do is to ensure that we stick to the agenda item.
okay.
Which I'm assuming that your old business sticks to the agenda item.
Okay,
I'd like to have the public hearing, and then after the public hearing, then we'll have a round of
okay,
discussion.
it's just two small items, and I'll come back and talk to you about that. Is that
Yes, sir.
okay? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, so y'all all have the revised preliminary plat in front of you. We have like 1, 2, 3, 4, only about 5 items to discuss. And the first thing I would like to discuss is, if you're looking at the map, on the far bottom right-hand corner, it's tracked RT-1-A, 2.4, commercial. Everybody sees that? Okay. So I want to tell you what happened when we first developed Pelican Point. That whole section was on commercial. This is on the side of the sewer plant at Pelican Point. And we decided to take up some of the commercial area and add a few townhomes to, this was maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago, 17 years ago. And by mistake, when the final plat was done, they showed it all as townhomes. They didn't leave this 2.2 acres there as commercial. So I'm coming back tonight to put the commercial back. It was an error, is putting it back. I don't want to build a house on the side of a sewer plant. This is more of a small commercial site. So that's my first request on here. And if anybody wants to ask questions about this site, we can answer all of that, and then we can go on to the second site, if that's fine with y'all.
Again, we're gonna hold that back and forth questioning until after the public hearing.
Hey, I'm not an engineer, so I want to make sure I'm doing right. It's kind of like I'm not an attorney. If I'm in court, I don't know the proper attorney procedure, so y'all help me here. You guide me. Hold my hand.
I'm with you on that, because I'm neither one of those either.
All right. Okay. So the second item, just to the left of that, is at the main entry of Pelican Point. You'll see it's PP-GC-2-A. I'm sorry, PP-GC-2-B. When you're going into Pelican Point, on the right, there's 2 professional office buildings. Our plan had always been to put 2 more professional office buildings on the left. Now, when I met with the parish administrators, when I met with the quality engineers, I told them, when you do the map, put professional offices here. Well, there was a little bit of confusion, and they named it commercial. I understand that you have to put it commercial if you want professional offices, but what I'd like to do is before we bring the final plat to be signed by you, if everything is approved, I'd like to just put an amendment that although this is zoned commercial, it's limited to professional offices only. So what I'm telling you, when you drive into Pelican Point, on the right side of the guard shack, we have 2 professional offices, and we're asking for the left side to put the other 2 professional offices. Okay? So,
Understood.
That's the second item on the agenda. The third item is an engineering computer blunder. It says PPGC-2A. They made this lake a commercial lake. I guess they figured I wanted to raise catfish or something, but I'm not going into the commercial business, so we're going to take that off the map. Unless we can find one of our residents tonight who wants to raise catfish, and then we're going to take this off. That fair enough to y'all?
That sounds good. It might be a money-making operation.
And the next item is we have Pelican Point Main Street. It's a shopping center, office complex, retail complex, and we've been in this center for, I don't know, 15 years approximately. And when we first started Pelican Point, we sat down and we decided what usages we wanted on the commercial site, and we went ahead and put the restrictions on it for ourselves. And at the time, we thought we were going to be selling about 40 lots in front of Pelican Point on Highway 44, and it'd be 40 different buildings, 40 different Dollar General stores, kind of different stores. And after we built the Dollar General and we looked at Main Street looks wonderful, and it's a beautiful face to Pelican Point. And we look at Dollar General and we said, we don't want 40 of those things. We want, instead of 40 Dollar Generals, we want 3 of the beautiful Main Street retail office developments. So again, what I'm saying, we want to update those usages because we had some restrictions that were for others that were going to build these Dollar General buildings, and we've just updated. And Todd Peavy is here, and he is the man who leases the Main Street offices and will be leasing out the other 2 buildings that we eventually put between Ralph's and Dollar General. And he can tell you a little bit about the usages, the changes that he made, if you're interested in hearing that. You want to tell him a little bit about it?
Yeah.
Sure. So the plan is to build, we have 2 buildings planned there. They're service center type buildings, and they're hybrids. And we build them all speculatively, just like we did the Main Street building up front. So you don't know exactly what the tenant mix is going to be in the buildings, but our idea, I've got some renderings I can show you. I mean, we want to keep the property looking beautiful. And so the building is going to look like it's a little different from Main Street, but it looks like a retail building in the front, basically. Lots of glass.
Yeah, there's a projector that you
Oh,
can
where?
project so we can see it on our screen.
Here we go.
You might have to,
Do
maybe here, maybe there.
focus, yeah.
Okay, we're a little out of focus. Can someone help?
Professional.
Should have brought our IT guy.
Who was working with this one?
Mm-hmm.
Might just be.
Oh. Oh, other way.
Well,
There we go. We got it.
Oh,
Okay,
that was
you got it.
close.
There you can you go this way? It will?
it's still out of focus pretty bad.
There we go. IT to the rescue.
There's the man.
Thank you.
While he's trying to get it in focus,
It is, it's in focus.
this building, we just applied for a building permit to start this building, and we updated the entire drainage study and the entire traffic study in order to get a building permit for this building. And we expect to be getting the building permit anytime now. So we just updated the traffic and drainage study for this building.
So anyway, it's a hybrid building, which you can see from the picture. This is a hand-drawn, a rendering, basically. It's gonna come across as a retail building in the front, and I think you're gonna get a mix of a lot of retailers. We've talked to coffee shops about it already. But you generally don't lease it until you start construction with it. You are gonna have other services, and we've made these a bunch of small little spaces so that it can accommodate the retail users, and also, I think, people that would live in the subdivision and want to put their offices in the building. It could be a paint store, it could be a landscaper, it could be a number of things, but we will control the building and we will maintain it just as we do Main Street. We'll heavily landscape it. It'll be screened in the rear. So you're going to have all of the same type of good-looking improvements that you do at our Main Street retail building, basically.
Excuse me. So this is already approved by the Planning Commission to go forward with this particular, is this a change in your land use?
It's not a change in the land use. It's,
There's not a change in the land.
the zoning is staying the same. We're changing we are changing some of the uses that were restricted and we're adding some restricted uses, and then we're adding some included uses, basically, because of this new type of building.
So with the added restricted uses, is that gonna require you to get a new zoning classification
No,
for this?
because the property was already zoned MU, right? So it's always been zoned MU, which would allow all kinds of things. But
Correct.
I think in the beginning, we self-imposed some additional restrictions on the site itself. So MU allows a whole bunch of stuff, and we carved some of those things out in the beginning. And now we're carving some more out, but then we're also adding some back in that will work for this type of building, basically.
Okay, well,
Would
I'm
y'all
gonna,
like
go
for
ahead.
Todd,
Go ahead.
would you like for Todd to point out what's he's adding and taking? What? Go ahead and.
Should have brought my
Yeah,
glasses.
go ahead.
We're pulling out like houses, obviously, 'cause those were in, and now it's gonna be a commercial site. We're taking out a lot of the heavier industrial uses, basically, that we don't plan on having here. These buildings will have, like I said, retail, and they'll have, some office. They'll have probably some office and some storage space associated with it for like your landscape or maybe your hardware store, like that kind of stuff. And so those are the types of things that we added back in here to allow for those types of use. Again, I just don't know exactly what's gonna lease there, because we're doing it all speculative.
Okay. Anything else before we go to the public hearing?
No, we have some other items.
I want to ask the people that are here waiting for the public hearing to please be quiet. It's distracting us from hearing what the applicant is saying, please. Okay, go ahead, sir.
We have two more items. The next item is on the far bottom left-hand corner. It's M1B1A, 2.2 acres commercial.
This is so small.
Do y'all
Okay.
see that?
Well, it's very small on our printout.
Okay, so it's a 2.2 acre tract of land on Highway 44. And the history of this was commercial. And about 6 or 7 years ago, we changed it to condos. We worked and tried to get condos to work on the property. We couldn't make it work, so we want to bring it back to commercial. So I don't know if you have any questions regarding that, but.
No questions.
Okay, so the good news, the final thing on our plat and on the revised plat is we are wanting to add 2 home sites to a stubbed-out street in the Greens. And that's the courtyard at Pelican Point on the far left, going up about 2 inches if you have a normal size paper, and it says active adult lots 980 and 981.
Okay, yes, sir. I see it.
And,
I don't know, but I hope everyone else sees it also. I see it.
okay. And that is everything that we are requesting on this revised plat. And if you have any other questions, we're happy to answer anything. Should we?
We'll have some questions after the public hearing.
Okay, so you want us to sit down and then
Yes,
after
sir.
public hearing, come back up and see you?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
we'll
Please.
be right back. Thank you.
Okay, so this is a public hearing on, let me find it again so I can read it. This is a public hearing on Pelican Point Gulf Community Major Revision Large-Scale Development Master Plan. So I'm going to remind everyone once again that there's a 3-minute limit on your comments, and as I said, I will enforce that, so please be concise in your comments. And then at some point in time, if everyone is saying the same thing, I may close the public hearing for lack of additional information. So, Stacy?
Christine Crow.
And please, when you start to speak, give us your name, which we have, but also your address.
Yeah, good evening, Commission members. My name is Christine Crow. I'm the president of the Pelican Point HOA, and I'm here tonight because our board members have reviewed the proposal, and we have some questions, concerns, and some items that we would like y'all to address before y'all approve the revision. Basically, Track M, which is on to the left, had the caveat on it with no direct access to streets within Pelican Point. That was the part where he talked about the townhomes that he was going to build going to commercial. We had asked that that be put back in. For RT commercial, which is on the right side of Pelican Point by National Water Infrastructure, we would also ask that you add without direct access to the streets within Pelican Point. That would mean access onto Highway 44, which we believe parish officials in the past have expressed concern. And again, we're happy with the request to turn those into professional offices. We would request that they be 1 story, that they be limited, and not include doctors or dentists, because we believe that that is enhanced traffic and clientele and more employees. I have a page that y'all are supposed to get, so that's all in here. Let's see. On item 2B commercial, right behind the monument, we would ask that you add not to interfere with existing entry features, because that's where our monument and pond are, and we need to protect that because we put the money and investment into there. And again, with no direct access to streets in Pelican Point, which would mean that the direct entry would come from Village 1, which is the Main Street property, onto that side. We're concerned about the people coming into the main entrance and having to take a left into those office buildings. We think it would clog that main intersection. As far as the golf cart path, there is a golf cart path located next to lake number 19. We had asked that there be a caveat not to interfere with the existing private golf path being co-maintained by the owners of Pelican Point HOA and Main Street. And then as far as the adding item number 8 to specifically limit those 2 plots, RT and 2B, the ones to the left and the right of the main entrance, to 1-story professional buildings for engineers, architects, insurance agents, financial consultants, accountants, lawyers, real estate agents, and similar services. Any and all other commercial uses are specifically excluded. And again, not to have doctors or dentists, because we're concerned about the number of clientele that come in every day.
Thank you. So we will enter this note that you gave us with your comments into the record, so it'll be reserved there. Okay, anyone else?
Charles LaBeouf.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Charles LaBeouf, the president of the Greens HOA. The Greens is a restricted 55 and older community. I represent 167 homes in the neighborhood with varying opinions on the proposals. Some are proponents, others are opponents to the proposal. The Greens Board requests the Planning Commission to listen to the residents' comments tonight and concerns and make their decision based on facts as well as information presented by the residents of the Greens.
Okay,
Thank you for your
one thing
time.
for you. Would you state your address, please?
I'm at 5233 Courtyard Drive.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
That's the entirety of your comments.
That's my time.
Thank you.
All right.
Don Bailey.
You want to do the overhead? Yeah.
There you go.
It's on there.
We see it.
Go for it. It's on there.
They wants to make it bigger.
Oh, okay. I see it.
Just point at me and I'll say it.
Oh, yeah, now it's magnified. Okay, sir, I'm going to go ahead and start your time now. Name and address, please.
My name is Don Bailey. I live at 5496 Green Park Drive in the Greens in Pelican Point.
Yes, sir.
As I said, I live there. Also serve as a current member on the Greens HOA Board. I'm here speaking as a resident, not for the HOA. However, I do speak for many of our concerned residents. I am in opposition to adding the 2 new residential lots in the Greens. My first concern is the green map that you're reviewing is not an accurate map, and I have it blown up here. Just a few feet from the proposed lots is a large green community center. You see I have circled in red, but it's not on the map. And I've reviewed every map that I could get access to in Ascension Parish Clerk of Court, and it's not visible on any map, but it's there. It's not new. It's been in place for 15 years. The community center is a 3,800 square foot with a large parking lot, and it's located next to our activity center, which is located on this map. Both of these are important Greens amenities for our over 55 community. These directly border the request for these 2 lots. The boundary lines will butt up to one another. I believe it's crucial to this hearing process to have access to accurate maps to include all current and proposed structures. As a result of the community center not being on here, it could impact your decision. I request that the Office of Planning and Development require an updated map of the Greens before making any decision on the proposed 2 lots. My second concern is the new location of the proposed lots and the new street that require support for vehicle access. Depending on the exact location of the homes and the new Chipping Lane Street will extend anywhere from 60 to 100 feet with a 20-foot wide street that adds around 1,200 to 2,000 square feet of concrete streets. Replacing the current green space with homes and streets will only aggravate our current drainage issues at the intersection of Courtyard, Green Court, and the new Chipping Lane. With just a minor rainfall, this intersection floods and fills, and the drainage is delayed for quite a period before cars can pass safely. The proposed lots and streets are elevated well above the street level, which will result in a rapid water runoff to that very location, which already floods.
You have 30 seconds.
It's important to note our streets are concrete and private, and we pay for that. So once that street is done, we pick up the cost. That's about $3.5 million worth of streets 166 homeowners are taking care of. So take that into consideration.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Darlene Kluka. I live at 5247 Courtyard Drive in the Greens. As advocates for green space in the Greens, this is for the well-being and holistic health of older adults. We firmly support the imperative need for green space with 55 and over living communities, specifically the Greens of Pelican Point. Green spaces are not mere amenities, but integral components essential for supporting a thriving and fulfilling environment for residents in this demographic. our position is rooted in the recognition of the multifaceted benefits that green spaces offer to older adults. These spaces serve as catalysts for promoting physical activity, social connectivity, mental well-being, and environmental stewardship. Access to green spaces is a cornerstone of promoting physical health among older adults by providing opportunities for outdoor exercise such as walking, gardening, or Tai Chi. Green spaces facilitate the maintenance of mobility, flexibility, and cardiovascular health. Exposure to natural elements has been linked to reduced stress levels, improved immune function, and enhanced overall health outcomes, underscoring the indispensable role of green spaces in supporting the physical vitality of older adults. Beyond physical health, green spaces are instrumental in nurturing social connectivity and a sense of belonging within 55 and over communities. These spaces serve as gathering points for recreational activities, social events, and shared experiences, fostering bonds of friendship and camaraderie among residents. In an era where social isolation and loneliness pose significant challenges for older adults, the presence of green spaces offers invaluable opportunities for meaningful interactions and mutual support, enriching the social fabric of the community. Green spaces play a pivotal role in promoting environmental sustainability and ecological resilience within 55 and older communities. By incorporating sustainable landscaping practices, biodiversity conversion initiatives, and green infrastructure designs, these communities can serve as models of environmental stewardship, fostering harmony in a natural world. So by advocating for the integration of green spaces into the community development, et cetera.
30 seconds, ma'am.
No, his time, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, time's up. I'm sorry.
I'm sure that you can finish that.
Yes. I was using my phone.
He does it up there.
I didn't see it. I was doing it on my phone. Okay, next.
Danny LaFrance.
Because I was going to let him go like 15, 20 seconds over. He cuts out. Okay.
Gentlemen,
Yes.
previously I heard about,
Excuse me, sir.
oh, I'm sorry, Daniel LaFrance, 5329 Courtyard Drive.
Thank you.
I'm also a member of the Greens Board, but here as a resident of the Greens, and speaking on that as that part. I heard previously about studies to be done on traffic and drainage, but I know there was a request for a waiver because this body had stated previously about 5 years ago that the next time anything was done with this development, that a comprehensive study had to be done on traffic and drainage. I didn't hear if that waiver was pulled or not, so request was pulled or not,
The
but,
waiver is one of the things we're considering tonight.
so the waiver is one. Okay, well then I'll continue. I've lived in the Greens the past 18 years, and really, I haven't recalled any comprehensive traffic or drainage studies conducted or received any information as to those studies being done. There have been 2 occasions that I can recall that were previously mentioned of revisions and additions on the Pelican Point property that would affect the Greens. The 2 lots, 9080 and 9081 on track M1B1A, there was a previous request to construct 2-story apartments, but the commission at that time denied the construction for various reasons having to do with ingress, egress, emergency equipment, drainage, all those kind of things. There was also a request to construct, which was mentioned, a 2-story apartment condo building on the RT-1-A-2 track. That's the 2.2 acres off Highway 44. It never began, the phase never started, so no construction was ever done. So I guess there's some changes that look to be made. What I would like to do is read from a large-scale development master plan major revision dated February 14th, today's date. And in those comments, you have staff recommendations. But prior to that, it had drainage impact study. A new drainage study was not submitted based on the applicant's waiver request nor the traffic.
25 seconds.
Nor the drainage. It also, 5 years ago, the Planning Commission said that in order for this application to move forward, the waiver must be granted. So what I would like you gentlemen to do is seriously look at what was said by a previous Planning Commission on that particular waiver.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. You ended right at 0. Good timing.
Barbara Bourgeois.
Yes, ma'am, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Barbara Bourgeois. I live at 5290 Courtyard Drive. Is there anything else I need?
No, ma'am.
Okay, after learning about the proposed revisions to the Pelican Point Master Plan, I carefully examined all the documents in the packet for this meeting. I came across a memo from Mr. Eric Poche to the Planning Commission dated February 6, 2024. The last 3 paragraphs of the second page address drainage and traffic studies. In that last paragraph, Mr. Poche stated the following items should be considered by the Planning Commission in their analysis of the case. At the January 2019 Planning Commission meeting, which was 5 years ago, the developer was notified that should this plan come before the commission for another revision, revised traffic and drainage studies would be required for the entire development. The commission must waive the requirement and allow that revision to move forward as submitted. Mr. Poche's last sentence to the commissioners concerned me. For the first time in 6 years that we've lived in the Greens at Pelican Point, our sunroom flooded a few weeks ago. It was frightening to walk into a room full of water, and I worry that this will continue or worsen with the extreme weather that has become so common. But in the past 5 years, construction of new homes and businesses has shot up dramatically along Highway 44. Between Highway 30 and Highway 22, which is a distance of only 4.2 miles, the growth will continue with the Village at Conway building the rest of the 950 planned homes and with the completion of the strip mall currently under construction there. So my question for the Planning Commission is, what would be the justification for the commission to grant the developer waivers from the traffic and drainage studies when that requirement was ordered by the Planning Commission 5 years ago? What are the criteria for conducting each of the studies? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Derek Phillips.
My name's Derek Phillips. I live at 5271 Courtyard in the Greens. And my first comment would be regarding the traffic study and waiving it. I think it really needs to be done. I understand that there's a proposal to put a roundabout at Highway 22 at 44 and also down at the entrance to the Pelican Point. And if you go out right now or in the evenings or in the morning trying to get out of the Greens, you take your life in your hands. And it will only be worse when they put the roundabouts in, because now there won't be a traffic light that will hold traffic up. So there'll be constant traffic. So that's going to be a major issue. The other concern that I have is what is going to happen to that property west of our entrance, okay, where he said, Ms. Diaz says he's got 2 acres of commercial property there. What is he going to do to that? Is that going to be apartments? Is it going to be offices or what? And is he even considering Section 8 put apartments in there, which would also be a big concern there, okay? So that's a major concern of mine. Also, it's important to note that our streets are concrete and private. As such, the residents of just 166 homes in the Greens are responsible for the maintenance of our streets, and an annual repair budget of around $85,000. Not counting current inflation and the cost of streets are valued at somewhere between $3 and $3.5 million. That's about $18,000 per household. The average age of our residents is 74 years old. Over 50 of our residents are widows and single, and many others are on fixed income. With the addition of new street, it only compounds our future obligations. I'd also like to add that if he ends up putting 2 more homes in there, which I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but if he puts 2 new homes in there, you've got concrete trucks coming in there that are really heavy that can damage the streets. I think that Mr. Diaz should be obligated to put in writing that he will take care of any repairs if those trucks or anything is done in construction to damage our streets out there. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.
Errolyn Dickerson.
Good evening. I'm Errolyn Dickerson. I live at 424 Woodland Court in Pelican Point in the last filings.
Thank you.
I'm not going to touch on everything that's already been stated, but I do want to re-emphasize some of the things that the Greens residents have said. I live in the last filing that was approved, which is the Hidden Cove area. When it comes to enforcement of lots 402A and B, 403A and B, and then lots 310 and 311, we recently discovered as a member of the Homeowners Association, and I'm not here as a board member, just as me tonight, that the lines that are shown on the maps that you all have are not accurate. And some of those neighbors have made significant investments in their properties. So I would hope that any adjustments to the map be considered with those. I'm sure you guys can call our office and get more information about that. Just like the Greens, our streets are private as well. We're right off of the back gate. I can say this, lots 402A and B and lots 403A and B were subdivided. They were initially supposed to be 2 houses and 4 got put there. And it is a traffic nightmare because it's immediately off the back gate. You can't see sometimes if a neighbor has a car parked where it shouldn't be or even where it should be. If guest parking is full, there have been more times than I can count. I've almost been hit coming in and out. So I think we should be considerate of traffic issues from that standpoint as well as the enforcement. I'm not opposed of development. I think everybody has the right to make their money. I just think we should be smarter. What I would personally prefer is that we postpone it so that the developer can tell us something in writing than what we've heard tonight, because what we've been hearing tonight is different than emails I've received as a board member. It's different than phone calls and text messages. So if we could just develop some type of consistency that we can hold one another to. I don't want to get into an issue with the developer because our HOA has to have an ongoing relationship. But I just would like that to be considered, maybe just table it so we can get everybody on the same page. And that's all.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to make a comment based on what you asked, and I'm going to ask Stuart, correct me if I misstate, or Eric if I misstate. The Planning Commission can either approve or deny.
Okay.
The applicant would have to be the one to request a deferral.
Okay.
Not the Planning Commission.
Okay.
I just want to be clear so you understand.
Okay, well, I'm game for it if he'll do it. Okay, thank you.
I thought you would be, but I wanted to be clear on what we had. Oh, I'm sorry. I call you Spencer. I call him Wagon. What did I call you? Wagons back. That's all right. Call him Cloutier. So Spencer, my name is Max. It's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. Okay, well, Stuart didn't correct me, so I guess I said the right things. Spencer. Yeah. Okay. Next. I'm sorry. Next.
Jason Ball.
I do have a problem with names, so I'm sorry. Yeah, you noticed that. And I called you one time to make something else too, when we first started. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jason Ball. I represent the Louisiana Regional Airport at 6255 Airport Industrial Boulevard here in Gonzales. Listen to the folks tonight talk. I see there's been a lot of mention of some misrepresentation on the maps. And I believe that in the letter that you have dated February 6th, number 1 regarding the airport is also incorrect. It says that the runway was extended 900 feet and that it changed the zones. This is incorrect. The way the ordinance reads is that it's the length of the planned length of the runway defines the safety zones, and the planned runway length was always the same. So if it's the same in the areas that they're speaking of, I think it's the same. You need to consider also in our areas too, that this is defined by ordinance, and that depiction on the map, which we brought into the planning commissions, made them aware of it a few months ago, 8 months ago or so. And we'd like to see that be depicted before you can make an accurate decision on any parts of it, that the actual depictions of the safety zones and actual depictions of what these residents are asking for are properly depicted, so you can make a great decision based on that. But as far as my comments on the other stuff, I have none. I'm just referring to the part that is with us. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Councilman Joel Robert.
How y'all doing this evening? Joel Robert, 7217 Highway 44. I don't want to wish any of you Happy Valentine's Day. I apologize. I'm here, in support of approval of the master plat to address a few of the concerns that I have been hearing tonight. They're all legitimate concerns, but I feel with what we have ahead of us and before us, they are addressed. I mean, as far as the green space, everybody needs green space. I agree with that. It's great. To have it, it's very essential for that type of community. Pelican Point has around 800 acres of property, give or take 10 acres, and currently has 355 acres of green space. It's an abundance of green space throughout there. Those 2 lots that you're talking about are maybe a third of an acre of the green space. So ultimately, if you look at the availability of the green space in those 2 lots, you're not changing the composition of the whole development. Secondly, the drainage on the street for the
Excuse me a second,
townhome.
Councilman. Please be quiet while someone's addressing us. It's distracting. We can't understand the councilman's points. So thank you all for that.
Thank you, Chair, I appreciate that.
Go ahead, I'm
Secondly,
sorry.
the drainage I'd like to address. I met with Mr. Diaz today, and he expressed he will definitely fix that drainage when he's extending the road. However, if he doesn't move forward and do that, it's not feasible for him to spend the money doing such whenever there's not a significant problem to the point of flooding or anything at that point. Thirdly, if you look at the number of the homes in the traffic study and the number of the homes in the huge plat, the entire plat, we're reducing the number of actual vehicles, reducing the number of residents, because the original plat had the apartments or townhomes or whatever it is beforehand. So you reduce that plus the 2 green spaces or 2 homes in the townhomes. I'm sorry, the 2 homes in the greens. Now, will those 2 homes affect the traffic study? Absolutely not. As far as the other changes in the commercial, it's only, or in the mixed use, it's only changing things that were specified by the developer in the beginning. It's not changing any zoning. And, in my specific, or my particular opinion, I think it's actually helping the development to have 1 large commercial center, or ultimately 3 large commercial centers, instead of having a bunch of, single-built Dollar Generals or whatever they be. Clearly they wouldn't all be Dollar Generals, but, overall, I think that it's a improvement for the area, you know, and I ask y'all to go ahead and approve it tonight so we can move forward. And then clearly it needs to be conditional that the traffic study and any of the drainage study is started immediately, which, you know, I have confirmed it will be started immediately because there is another filing that is already started in the process. With
Thank you, sir.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Next, anyone else?
That's all.
Okay, at this point, the public hearing is closed. Mr. Diaz, if you would come back up here, because we may have some questions for you. I'm going to open to commission discussion first, and that may include some questions. And I'm going to ask the commissioners, as I had stated earlier, you know, please wait to be recognized so that we have an orderly discourse on this item. So, and I'm going to call on Mr. Scheck-Snyder first. Mr. Scheck-Snyder, almost said Wagisback. First, because.
Well, hold on. Our point of order is he does get a rebuttal first.
Okay, so I'm going to call on you first when we get to commission discussion. Point of order, thank you. Because you do have some longevity on this commission and are familiar with the actions that were taken earlier, more so than the rest of us. Okay, Mr. Diaz, go ahead.
To start off with, the first person here that had comments was Miss Christine Crow, and I thought the majority of her comments were very much in line, and I agree with just about everything she said, except for one thing. I don't think we can come off of Highway 44 a separate entrance for the professional offices, but I think we need to come in through Pelican Point like the other professional offices. But everything she said, I'm in agreement with, and I don't mind changing the plat to reflect everything she said, other than an entrance, another entrance coming off of 44 rather than inside of Pelican Point like the other professional offices. So that's my comments on that. I think Councilman Robert said it all about green space. We have an 800-acre development. We have almost 350 acres of green space. And I think that's more than what the ordinance would request by far. And these two lots has been on our map of being planned for, I guess, almost 20 years now. And there were actually going to be 3 lots, but we brought it down to 2. But it's probably no more than a third to, at maximum, a half acre. But so you're taking, if you have 343 acres, you're down to 341 and a half, or 300, you know, so it's very minimal there. And again, I talked to the Greens Homeowners Association president yesterday, and he says at the beginning of this little stubbed out street where we would extend it, and again, one of the people tonight said it would be somewhere between 60 and 100 feet. It would be with the engineers and the parish administration how far the street has to be extended. We would like to extend it the least amount possible to still make it workable and everything. But I committed to the Greens president that if we were able to do the street extension, he has a little small drainage problem, drainage drain at the end of that street. And I told him when we did that, if we were approved, we would fix that at our cost and to help the Greens out. The other thing, as far as communication with the residents, I think we went through social media, and we heard people comments about when we're not sure what's going on with the development and this and that. Every time I heard someone commenting about that, I picked up the phone and surprised them. I called them and said, hey, I'm here. I'm not hiding from you. I want to give you whatever information you need. So I've talked to probably a dozen people that I've picked up the phone and called, and they were surprised to hear from me. But you know, we're transparent here. We want people to know what's going on. Hey, I was the first resident of Pelican Point. I have hundreds of friends, lifelong friends living in Pelican Point with me. I want the best for Pelican Point. I think, you know, the people who know me know that. You know that, Wade. Mark, you know that, and probably half the people in here know that. So I want what's the best. And if somebody can help me make some changes with something better, I'm willing to listen at any time, you know. And that's what I've always done. There was some questions I think one of the last people came up about the safety zone. Tonight, the safety zone is not on the agenda. We did have a hiccup with the safety zone, and we are working with some new commissioners, and I think we're going to be able to work that out. But the safety zone is not any of my requests tonight, and I think when we come back with the next preliminary plat that we're going to begin working on tomorrow, we may need to address that at that time, and I'm more than willing to address that. But I think in the background, we're taking care of this with the newly appointed commissioners of the airport. So I think we're going to be good with that. I could go on, but my 3 minutes up. But if y'all have any other questions, I'm happy to answer anything.
There will be questions.
Okay. So, and again, we've heard a lot about the drainage and traffic studies. I want to be clear. We just completed an updated drainage and traffic study for the whole development. We submitted it to the parish with an application for a permit to build a second Main Street building on Highway 44. And we're about to get that permit, but that had been just submitted, okay? And
Excuse me, when was that submitted, and you said it was for the entire development?
yes,
And
we
we don't have it.
I sent it to, I think Eric has it. I think I sent it to Eric.
We have, the traffic study and drainage study that was submitted was for the lot that's up fronting on Highway 44. Now, as far as the extent of that, Mr. Sean Chereau is with the engineer review agent. He is more familiar with the contents of that traffic and drainage study than I am. So
It was done by Southeast Engineers.
Are they on the list of the Ascension Parish traffic firms?
No, that was done, the study for that particular lot was done prior to that becoming a requirement.
And what was the extent of it, Sean, do you know?
This is a 2022. The traffic study at that time was for a commercial permit for the Main Street building. So it focused on the proposed trips right over the Main Strip commercial building. And the drainage study was very specific just for that commercial building. So it wasn't a full study for the entire development. It wasn't a full drainage study for the entire development. It was per the requirements, which was just for a building permit. It was focused
Right.
just on that.
Okay, thank you.
And starting tomorrow, we plan to go with the full traffic study and the full drainage study for the second plat that's coming up in just a few months, as soon as we get the studies complete, for the second revised master plat.
Okay.
Make sense?
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Okay, commissioners, any comments? We're going to skip Wade. Any comments, questions?
Mr. Nasser, can I say something real quick?
Yes, please.
I think probably the number one thing, and it's the reason that I placed it in the staff report, the number one thing that you guys have to consider first off is whether you're going to allow this to move forward without having the comprehensive traffic and drainage study, because that was a requirement. So to me, that's the first, but I'll let y'all, I just wanted to mention
And
it.
I don't disagree with you. So I don't disagree with you, but I made a couple of notes about that. And one is that what we're being asked to do is to vacate a provision, a condition that was duly placed on the development by the Planning Commission. Granted, it was not these members, but it was this Planning Commission. We're being asked to vacate that. And at the same time, what I'll say is that if the last, from what I understand, I may be wrong, full traffic study that was done on the development was done 5 years ago, and the drainage study, there have been significant changes to land use surrounding Pelican Point and other areas. which to me makes that traffic study dated. And Mr. Sherrill is an engineer, and I'm looking at him while I say this because I think he'll know the answer. But a 5-year-old traffic study on a Highway 44 area for Pelican Point, to me, is outdated because of the sheer magnitude of development and land use changes that are there. I also think that I want to question Mr. Diaz. I don't want to question question you, but I want to ask you a question. And that is, what would be a compelling reason for us to vacate that condition, besides you saying you're going to start one tomorrow?
That when we spoke with the staff, I think we started this in August of last year, we talked about we were going to come in with the full plat instead of doing 2 separate plats. And we said we thought that we could, because this was basically some minor zoning changes on the lots and not a significant change, after this meeting, we were going to go full speed ahead on the second filing with the major changes. And so we thought that we could get this one passed through quick and immediately start on the traffic and drainage studies. I would like to say, don't approve this until we have engaged the traffic study with the parish and we are already, I would say, 80% complete with our drainage study, a revised drainage study through Quality Engineers. I'm willing to go into a contract with the parish tomorrow. You could put this contingent upon seeing my contract with Quality Engineers and paying the parish for the traffic study. We know we have to do it, and we want to do it. We insist on doing it. But we just thought we could get these minor zoning changes done now and then start the drainage, complete the drainage study and start the traffic study.
Hey, Mr. Schexnayder.
Thank you. As the only commissioner here who was there in 2019, I got a little bit of familiarity with this. Mr. Diaz, I'm just going to be frank. The reason we put those 2 requirements on there was because obviously you want to do those expansions. And look, you've done nothing but wonderful things, and I think everybody here can appreciate what you've done at Pelican Point. It's what we have there for a reason. But like Mr. Nasser said, we do need that comprehensive drainage and traffic study. The question of doing it twice and having this meeting and then the next meeting, I think that's what's got a lot of people, perplexed. What we put in there was we want you to come back whenever you have all these ducks in a row, because we made a lot of changes since the last major change in Pelican Point. And you and I had conversations on this is how we're doing it now. I think you had a different engineering company at the time. And so we also wanted to help make your ideas show the best way that it can possibly do it. We want to, like you said, we want to work hand in hand with you. And having that multifaceted traffic study, that whole area, not just the commercial areas, and then the drainage study that encompasses everything, we wanted to have all that with it. So you're coming fully locked and loaded to the commission and say, look, we've got everything here. Let's get some business done. And that's why. And it makes everything look better.
Right.
I think that if we granted a waiver on that, and since the waiver is really leading into everything else, that kind of nullifies a lot of what we were trying to do, not just for us, but for you. If I were you, and look, they've got some other things that the people have mentioned, that some of the maps are inaccurate. I would take this time, let's revise these maps, let's make sure these maps are absolutely accurate. And look, they're comprehensive. This is the biggest maps that we've had in a while. But come back to us maybe next month, have the maps corrected, get with, the airport, get with the Greens, get with everybody, make sure all those things are corrected. The community center. Get the new traffic studies done and the drainage studies for everything. Come back in one big fell swoop. I think you get a much better reception.
Okay.
But that's my opinion.
So, my
but that's up to
question,
you.
my question to you, we were gonna come back with the second part of this map that included 150 more home sites
Mm-hmm.
in the rear, and after we completed the studies.
Yes, sir.
And we won't have that ready for next month. Are you suggesting that we come back with this same map tonight and say, hey, we're underway with the studies, and we'll be coming back with you with the second revised plat in 4 months or whatever?
What I expected back in 2019 when we made these things is the next time you come to us, if you had some zoning changes or anything, that's less important, but we know this is gonna lead up to something. So your next step is a comprehensive master plan with the comprehensive traffic study and the comprehensive drainage study that is likely going to include those residential things. I think that if you came with us with everything at once, I think you would have a much better reception. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
And that's up to you, but that's what our request was in 2019 was. We wanted to really see what the new traffic and drainage situations were. And look, I know you do everything possible, and I know you're trying to do the best. That's my suggestion to you.
Again, I'm in full agreement from the moment we stepped in here, from talking to Eric and Lance since August. We are on board with a full comprehensive drainage plan and a full traffic plan. We had just thought we could come in here tonight and just get these minor zoning issues
Yes, sir.
changed, and then come back with everything else.
And unfortunately, the way that we worded it
Yeah.
previously, it
Okay.
was a
Yeah,
requirement.
we need
So-
to, we need to follow the wording. I'll follow
sir.
you. I'll follow. We went down the wrong path, I guess, you know? We followed that path since August of last year. But we do have the next revised master plat already done that shows the 150 lots. So it would be everything we have tonight plus the 150 lots. And we
And
would-
the traffic the full.
And the full traffic
encompassing
study and the full
traffic
drainage study.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I would bring that whole thing back to us at a later date, and I think you're gonna be well received.
So, let me confirm this. The traffic study and the drainage study has to be complete, or it has to be under contract with the parish?
No, sir, it has to be complete.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm gonna call on Mr. Cluett now.
How you doing, Mr. Diaz?
Good, thank you.
I'm echoing what Commissioner Shake Snyder said. A lot has changed since 2019,
Yeah.
and I feel comfortable, and I would assure that a lot of the residents feel comfortable that if we get the complete traffic study and drainage study done, and everything in a one package deal, that you, like you said, it'll give us a clear picture of what we're trying to make a decision on. And I think it'll clear up a lot of things with the residents as far as some inaccuracies that they see on the map and stuff. And even the deal with that you'll have the deal with the airport solved, hopefully.
Hopefully,
You
yeah,
know, and that'll answer a lot of our questions. Hopefully it'll ease the minds of the residents. And, you know, if we come back at one time and have if one complete picture to look at.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Miller.
Two questions. The portion that you said was originally commercial in the beginning that you're trying to send back to that, do y'all have that as being commercial and somewhere along the lines it got
Yeah,
shifted?
somewhere along the line it was commercial.
So it was a commercial from the get-go and it got kind of like that first thing we did way back in the beginning of my term.
Hey,
Okay. So that should have been commercial from the get-go.
Yeah, I want to tell you
So
this.
that's just some general housekeeping.
When we first did Pelican Point, that whole right side of the entrance, from the Panama to the entrance, was commercial.
Yeah.
And then maybe 5 years later, we took the left side of Pelican Point from Main Street down to Dollar General and changed from residential to commercial. So the right side was the only commercial when we started, and then we added the left side.
Yeah, I know a guy that used to live in the townhomes back there, so I'm familiar. That's what I'm assuming is where you're trying to put it back to commercial there. And you're changing the zoning on the left side where you want to add the new lots. My second question is, Sean, you might be able to do. these green space requirements, are they broken up into those individual zones, like you were saying for that commercial building permit? Or are they all encompassing in the entire master plan? And so, I guess what I'm asking is, the two new homes or lots that they're trying to put into the greens, do they have to have their own separate green space requirement? Are they incorporated into the entire, 355 acres you said? Or are they covered by that?
That's more of a zoning landscaping, landscape requirements, probably be better if deferred to landscape.
Pelican Point is its own animal.
Right.
Basically, it was approved in, what, 95?
97.
95, 96.
And it's almost like a planned unit development, like a PUD.
Okay.
It's like things were put on there, land uses were put on there, lots, sizes, types, setbacks, all of that stuff was hand tailored. It's like a conditional zoning. And whatever the planning commission agrees to allow him to approve on this map is it. If it says he don't have to have any green space, then he doesn't have to have any green space.
Okay.
This is the one and only, but I will tell you that because of that, I know people use the word zoning and land use interchangeably, but there are no zoning changes that ever take place on this map. The underlying zoning, the only time the underlying zoning would ever come into play is if you, in the unlikely circumstance, have a lot and there is not a designated use on it. Then the only thing we have to do is go by is the underlying zoning. But all uses on all of these lots are governed by this chart that's on this sheet right here.
From the original. Okay.
Okay, any other commissioners have questions or comments? So, once again, I think that what we're being asked to do is to vacate a condition that the planning commission felt was very important. And since that 5 years ago, or however long ago it was, there have been a lot of changes in the land use and in the development, and consequently, a lot of changes in the existing traffic, the existing drainage, and, you know, DOTD does have some significant plans for Highway 44 that may also impact what a traffic study might look like. I understand we're looking kind of sort of at two different things at the same time. We're looking at your request for some changes to your master plan, but we're also looking at, as Eric pointed out, we're looking at the condition for the traffic and the drainage study. And you know, I would have a question that I would pose to the commissioners, and that is, if we start granting waivers, where do we go with that down the road? I mean, we tell the next guy no, we tell the next guy yes. And so, you know, that is a concern of mine. So, as I said, we have three choices. We can approve, we can deny, or the applicant can ask us if we would defer.
I would like to request a deferral. And what we could do, I'm serious, we're almost finished with the drainage plan. We're 80%. And we can be right back with this plat here. The only thing that will change, it will show 150 additional home sites in the rear. So I'd like to let the audience know this, if you don't mind, just 1 second.
Sure, go ahead.
So what we're saying here is we're gonna defer this. We're gonna take this same plat here, and as soon as we finish the drainage study and the traffic study, we're gonna come back. But the only change to this plat will be there's 150 lots in the rear of Pelican Point that's gonna be added. So it's this right here, plus 150 lots in the rear of Pelican Point. We were going to do it in two phases, this plat tonight, and then come back after we finish the drainage study and the traffic study and present the 150 lots. So I think what we're saying here tonight is that we would prefer to get the traffic and drainage study complete add the 150 lots to this, which the plat is already completed with all of this stuff with the 150 lots. And we were just gonna engage to, this week into the traffic study with these fellas. And that was part of my old business that I wanted to talk to y'all about later, and I'll wait
Oh,
until
okay.
later.
Thank you.
And Mr. Diaz, also because I would also request politely that, you know, they've had a few people mention some of the inaccuracies on the map. Try to, and look, it's a complicated map.
It is, and I'll tell you, I was kind of surprised to hear that. Now, it's obvious the clubhouse and the greens is not on the map. That's easy to put. But I'm not aware of any inaccuracies in lots on the map. It's the first I've heard of this.
And
so.
that would just be, you know,
Yeah.
just a little bit extra that I think shows just, I mean, we know, everybody knows how much you care.
Yeah.
Let's make those little changes in there too. So,
And I want to tell you, on the airport map, we are going to, would you look at it? Is that good enough for y'all? It's good, what we have on, is that good? Okay, I just want to make sure that's okay.
As long as it's accurate.
What's that?
As long as it's accurate, it's good for
Well,
us.
yeah, it is, okay.
Yes, sir. So, Spencer.
Yes.
Stewart, with the request for a deferral, do we have to take an official action to defer it, or is it just withdrawn from the agenda for the time being?
I think we'd like y'all to take an action on it.
Okay.
Just make a
So-
motion to defer it to a later time.
Do you have a, I hate to tie you into a time period. Do you have a time period, or you would just want to say deferred until you come back?
Let me tell you what, the parish is in charge of the traffic
Yes, sir.
study. We will come back as soon as the parish finishes the traffic study.
Okay.
So
So
in that
let's-
case,
go ahead, Wade.
I'd like to make a motion then, the applicant is requesting a deferral, to accept the applicant's deferral request, until a later date.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Kluwad. Any discussion on that motion? Cast your votes. And thank you, Mr. Diaz.
Can I ask one other question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we had to advertise for this, we had to send out a lot of things. How does it work when we come in with the updated plat? Do we start over again?
Yes, sir.
We start over again, okay. All right, okay. That answers my questions.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, that's the last item on the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. Mine didn't come up. I have to go back to wherever I was. 6 yeas, Mr. Dumas is not in attendance. It passes. Oh, I'm sorry, we have, okay, let me start over. I'm looking at his screen. We have, I feel like, never mind. 5 yeas, 1 abstention, and 1 commissioner, Mr. Dumas, not in attendance. That's correct? Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Miller, second by Mr. Scheck Snyder. Meeting's adjourned.